Hi there, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant with a custom Hug It Out framed up Lion Dance card. This features the new Lion Dance stamps and coordinating dies, perfect for New Year's style of cards and other occasions if you want to as well. And then the framed tags Hug It Out dies, and instead of using the large frame, we're going to be using the small stitched square frames only to create our own cutout frame design. So I'm going to start with the large and the small of these, and I'm going to die cut these both from some smooth white cardstock. And the small one didn't cut all the way through. I'm going to kind of carefully remove these because not only do I want to keep the little inside pieces, but I want to keep the frame. We're going to pop that frame up just a little bit to frame up all these adorable Lion Dance images. So I just ran that through the machine again because it didn't die cut quite all the way. Then I want to line up the small one right on top to create those three little window type openings for my frame. And you could design this any way you want to. I have purposely left a little room down below the largest frame for my greeting because I want to hang some of the lanterns and things up at the top left corner or left side of the card. I'm going to stamp my sentiment from the Lion Dance stamp set right below that large window using Versamark ink, sprinkle on a little white embossing powder, and then heat set this. That way I can do a little embossed resist. If you wanted, you could do all of your inking first. Make sure that all of your distress ink is really good and dry, and then go ahead and stamp and emboss your sentiment on top of there if you want a white greeting like I did here. If you wanted to maybe do a black greeting, you could definitely do that afterwards. Because I'm using smooth white cardstock, I opted to use the Distress Oxide inks instead of just traditional distress inks. I think they blend nicer on smooth white cardstock, a nice, beautiful, seamless blend for a really fun background. I'm using Abandoned Coral Spiced Marmalade for the frame portion where these windows are. Back behind the openings, I will be using a little Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink. And I want to work these colors together till I get a seamless, really pretty blend. I'll spritz the whole thing with water from a distress sprayer. I can't get enough of that look. I just love how it looks all distressed. Blot this dry with a paper towel. Set this aside to dry. Make sure and buff off any areas where I have stamped and embossed, such as this greeting. That way the greeting is really nice, bright white. And then I will let that dry a little bit. The Wild Honey is going to be a great yellow, which will blend and look, or coordinate, I guess I want to say, nicely with the Abandoned Coral and Spiced Marmalade. On the windows, I am going to ink all these up and spritz those with a little water from the Distress Sprayer as well. It's a really nice, rich yellow color. And there's what it's going to look like. Again, adding a little water, blot this dry with a paper towel, and clean up my craft mat surface so that I don't get that ink anywhere. I like to just spray a little additional water if necessary to clean that completely and get it nice and clean and dry. I have stamped several of the images then from Lion Dance. I stamped one of the lanterns twice. I've got 3 of the adorable little kids, which compare in size to the little boy and girl agenda, which I absolutely love. You could even mix and match some of those in with these, I think, and that would be super, super cute. So I love that because it just kind of expands on a theme there already is. Almost like I'm kind of imagining like a parade type of card maybe, and you have a whole bunch of little kids all along the bottom, and then these awesome dragon images or lion dance images. maybe up high or whatever. Just a lot of really cool ways to use all of these. I'm going to color everything in with the colors shown across the bottom of the screen. I sped this up quite a bit. However, you can see that it's not really a ton of colors. I kept my color palette pretty minimal just to cut down on color choice. Not to mention, I thought with the colors that I colored in the background, the frame, and those little cutout pieces, that I needed something that would complement and coordinate with that. So I stuck to reds, yellows, and then some neutrals as far as hair, and then some skin tone. That's it. There are 3 colors of red plus the very, very light R00, which is for the cheeks, 3 colors of earth tones for skin, 3 colors of cool gray, which are used in different combinations for hair and shoes and pants on one of the boys, plus part of one of the lantern designs. And then 3 colors of yellow red, which are used for outfits, for the lion dance image, for accessories, the lanterns, and 1 yellow, just plain yellow color, which was used a little bit in the eye area here on this image, and then 2 warm gray, which basically was just the eye portion here, that large eye. Those were used really minimally, so they're not very prevalent here in the design. Otherwise, most everything is in yellow, reds, and reds. Really awesome colors to use for this. I did not color all the images on screen because it's a lot of repetition. So if you see me color one outfit in this color combination, all the rest are the same. Same goes for these lanterns. These 2 that are exactly the same, I only colored one of them on screen. In fact, I've already added my dies here to some of the images. I've colored them. I've taped my dies in place. I'm going to color just a little bit more and then go ahead and die cut as many of these as I can with one pass of the machine, so that I can get this card put together. This card came together super fast, and I think part of that is because I did limit the amount of supplies. This is 1 die collection and 1 stamp and die set. Other than that, it's some inks and some paper. It's very, very simple, but I think it really works. And you could use these Hug It Out dies with lots of different stamp sets. You could create lots of different windows in different, just different combinations to create different kinds of die cut openings. I love that you get that awesome stitch design in this negative space, and then you can pop out those little windows. You would not have to add anything behind them if you didn't want to, but I think it's just a really fun way to customize and make your frame work for you. At the top of the card, I'm using a ruler and a black pen to draw the quote-unquote strings holding up these lanterns. I haven't attached the lanterns yet. I purposely drew the lantern strings just a little bit longer than what I actually need because it's going to be hidden back behind these. I wanted to make sure it was long enough. You could use real string, embroidery floss, crochet thread, anything like that if you wanted to, as a different option for a little bit more dimension. I tried to keep this fairly flat. In fact, I didn't like quite where I put that, so I'm just going to pull it up and adjust it a little bit. All of these are adhered with some bling mini glue dots. Then for the back of this, I'm going to use some scrapbook adhesives, thin white foam squares. What's amazing about these, even though it takes a little bit of work to adhere all those to the back of the panel, they give you dimension without a ton of, or they give you that look of dimension without being actually bulky, I guess I want to say, which is what I love. Compared to some other foam adhesives, they're really, really thin. So I like to use those. I covered the back of this panel, went ahead and attached that right to a white top fold card base. I'm replacing the Wild Honey inked squares and then gluing all of the cute little images inside of each of these windows, and it frames them up perfectly. Once I have those in place, I'm ready to add some finishing details. I'm doing that with a black glaze pen for eyes, a white opaque pen to add some highlights and things to some of the images here and there. Add some nice depth and dimension. It shows up nicely. I did have a question recently asking how I got my white pen to work so well. I have never really had much of a problem with these pens. However, I do store them with the pen tip down, so the lid is actually stored down, so the ink is always kind of at the tip and ready to use. I don't know if that makes a difference, but that is how I store mine, and I think it does maybe help. After I get all my little white highlights in place, I'm going to take some glossy accents and go over that large eye on the image, glue some awesome little bokeh confetti all over the card, using a little Ranger multi-matte medium to glue those sequins in place. And this Lion Dance card with a custom Hug It Out frame is all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.